That's the same microphone.
Yeah, it's an awesome microphone. Speaking of the microphone, we've got a few students who are going to come up. We've been asked to underline the base clause, circle marks of punctuation, highlight free modifiers, and somebody recommended subjecting and verbing up the subject. Let's start right there, and we'll jump in right after that. Feel free to go at the same time if you like.
The one thing that
Nicely done. Nice. Started. Look. The reason why there's some space at the top is what I need you to understand, and some space at the bottom so that we can write. Let's start with down here at the bottom. Like so far, we've kind of like figured out two things. So A, where can you put free modifiers? Or where can free modifiers go? And the answer, of course, becomes, well, you can put them in the initial position, and you can put We've solved that. And in fact, you maybe are to a point where you're like, well, I've pretty much heard enough of initial, medial, and final free modifiers. Maybe you've even memorized them. Maybe you won a time to climb based on your understanding of medial and initial or final. I know. And then, but now the direction that we're heading while we continue to work on A is B. I understand where they go, but what can you put there? What can you put in those positions? And the answer to what can you thing. Step A is a thing, but step B means like, well, now we're getting to the place where we're going to take what we know about writing and apply it. And the answer are the present and the past participle phrase. They both fit under the umbrella of what's known as verb. This is the verb phrase umbrella, and underneath that umbrella, both the present participle and the past participle phrase, they kind of just sit under the umbrella. The present participle phrase you can see from here, like scenting blood and preparing and warning. Like, look at the way all three of those free modifiers begin. Like, what do present participle, just based on your just looking, what do present participle?
Most of them have
Ing, yeah, they have ing in them, and you might say to yourself, well, you know, how do you identify present participle phrases? You're right, they have what are known as ing headwords. meaning that the phrase begins with an ing word. It's as simple as that. I mean, it's not too complicated. And you can see on the other side, it's a little name. This one's called the past participle phrase. Look at these endings here with the past participle. What do you notice? Or what do you see? Valerie? Yeah, you see like because en is really common as well. We've got these ed or en endings for past participle phrases. Today we're focused on the present participle. I mean, the past participle seated and overshadowed. But today we're really concerned about these ing head words. We'll start in a place that's a little easier. There's way more present participles in the English language than there are past participles. There's just way more ing words. And that means as we flip to the next page, you can see some examples right here. Walking, striking, slicing, flowering, carrying. I'm going to come up with 3 more, and you're going to come up with 3 more who are watching this from their computers probably. I am speaking into the microphone. Oh, it's on there twice now, isn't it? It's on there twice, isn't it?
Like throwing a baseball.
Throwing. Let's fill these in together. Add another. Jogging. Just don't choose words that I'll spell wrong live under the camera, okay?
Running. Oh, no, running.
Milking.
I heard somebody say connecting. Watching. Yeah, I mean there's so many. There's just a ton of them in the English language. Going back to, how do you identify them? You identify them with the ing ending. I think we've been over that. Sprinting. There are so many choices up here. Look, I'm going to do 2 examples just to save some time again because we're live on the camera. But as we move toward not the lightning storm approached, forcing the picnickers under the pavilion, and you might say to yourself, well, it could be true that the lightning storm approached the park. This base clause could live all on its own as a complete sentence, but this writer has added for additional detail reason. You might say to yourself, well, what is it that's forcing the picnickers under the pavilion? And, well, clearly the storm. This is a really common thing where the free modifier, no matter what position it's in, this one's in the final position, but no matter what position it's in, the thing I want you to notice about this is this ing head word at the beginning of this free modifier phrase allows you to identify it. The phone ringing loudly in class caught everyone's attention. It could be true that the phone caught everyone's attention. You're in the medial position that separates the subject from the verb, modifies the subject, and it's got that ing head word. Loudly in class goes back and modifies the phone. You've done this a million times already. Now we're just paying special attention to the kind of phrase or phrases that are in these free modifier positions. Let's take 1 minute for two. We'll need a minute. Logan, what's the base clause in this next one?
Jesse turned the volume far too loud.
Could be true that Jesse turned medial position free modifier right here. ING head word trying. Who is it that's trying to get the class on time? Jesse. Jesse. We got two free modifiers here, one in the initial position and one in the medial position. They both go back and modify our.
Be a choose one, choose left.
Yeah. Right. And then in this last one, it could be true that Josh turned and ran from the gang. You know, who is. And in fact, this is one of those situations where he only does one thing, but he does another thing. There's two verbs in this. Anybody know what the second verb is?
Ran.
Yeah, he ran. He turned and then he ran. Who's doing that? Obviously, Josh is quickly realizing he is outnumbered. Here's the unique one, is that it's not always quickly realizing or two slightly modified one another. In this case, the head word is still realizing. It's still a present participle phrase, despite the fact that there's an adverb that comes before it. You know, how do you identify present participle phrases? It's all in the ing science. It's just going to take a little bit of practice recognizing those ing head words and being like, yeah, and associating them with present participle phrases. Now, in the English language, there's the big eight. The big eight are the parts of speech, and we've kind of essential five goes. Here are some of them. Verb. Feel free to add to the list here if you feel like you know some of these. Adverb falls onto the list of essential parts of speech. Anybody know any others? How many Mad Libs have you done that have asked for an adjective? Thank you. I think as far as the essential five, it's the preposition. I ran out of room to spell it in its entirety, but for us, does anybody know what modifies a noun? Storm, the subject is always a noun. Subject is a noun. Subject is always, all these go back and modify the subject. The subject is always a noun. What modifies a noun? You know, these things are really just big boy and big girl adjectives. The whole phrase is an adjective. The whole phrase is an adjective. Pick any three. I'll do the one at the bottom as an example, but in order to make this swinging the door open with tremendous force. Try the ones that come before it, though. We're not making complete sentences. We're making phrases that don't pass the "it could be true that" test. Blanking until the final seconds of class. What could go there? Waiting. Hoping the best possible solution. Anybody think of anything else? Thinking the best possible solution. Possible, maybe finding the best. I mean, these are all present participle phrases. You know that because of the ing head word at the beginning. All right, writing. In fact, this whole piece of paper is dedicated to a single sentence. And not everyone's going to be able to see it. This is the one part that may not go very well for those who are online, but it's all about, and it's not the Karate Kid, but the subject of your sentence is going to be the Karate Kid. Here's the free base clause. Put on an epic performance. And if that's the base clause, and the sentence below is a diagram that has a two sentence. The Karate Kid, since this is our subject, and put is the verb, it's going to go the Karate Kid, comma, slash, comma, and then back to the verb. For those of you who are watching at home, it may just end up being that I send you the link to the video, or I show you the video on your own. As ing phrases here in the initial, the medial, and the final position.